Even quality RVs can have serious hidden problems, and this Northwood Nash proves why inspections truly matter. Hi everybody, it's Deb with Deb's RV Services, and welcome to today's video. Well, in this video, I am showcasing a 2017 Northwood Nash, which is a very quality travel trailer. And this was being sold by a private party, so it was not a dealership. I wanted to make this video because it is really important for you to see that even quality RVs can have some serious problems if they're not well maintained. And in this video, I'm going to prove it, but also watch to the end because I'm going to address some of the questions that you've been asking me in my recent videos. So I had someone hire me to do an inspection on a 2017 Nash, and this was a private sale. The owner was there with me because it was at a storage facility and he had to move it in order for me to have the hookups that I needed. And it was hooked up to his truck. So he just kind of stuck around and sat in his truck while I did the inspection. And it was really good because I actually was able to ask him some questions about the trailer and get some feedback. He told me that he had a tech come out and replace all of the sealant around the components on the roof. And when I got on the roof, I could see that the sealant mostly looked pretty good, like it had been maintained. The problem is that the front cap and the rear cap, it wasn't. I wish that the tech would have also looked around other areas of the trailer and let the owner know that that sealant needed to be replaced because there were lots of cracks and gaps along the front cap and rear cap. And what happens are those screw covers. I've mentioned this in my prior videos, but there are screw covers that go over the top. And a lot of times you see them on trim rails. You'll see them go down vertically down at where the front cap meets the sidewall. And these tend to move. They will either slide down or they start to wear with age and sun exposure, or they start cracking and chunks of it will fall off. Well, I noticed that there were exposed screws where the screw cover was no longer visible. I also noticed that at the front cap, those top running lights and the rear running lights, there were major gaps and cracks in the sealant there. That will allow water to come in. And that is why I think I saw delamination. So it was really unfortunate because I saw delamination along the front cap. I saw it along the rear cap. I saw it along down at the rear bottom of the wall on both sides. And I thought, oh boy, this is not good. And the owner was aware of some of the delamination because it was really super visible. But some of the other areas where there's delamination, he didn't even know about it. Delamination happens in an RV when water gets in between the structures, kind of like a sandwich. And then what it does is it separates the material like fiberglass from that wood, and the adhesive is no longer working, and it starts to create waves and bubbles in the fiberglass. And so it's basically just separating. The wall is separating. And then you can push on it and you can see how it's like spongy. Like some of the areas are really visible. Like you can see that waviness in it. I can go through an RV park and point out delamination super easy. But sometimes you have to really look because if it's just started and you're just seeing that separation, you push in on it and you can tell because you look at one area and it's kind of spongy or it's movable. But then the other area is solid. Then you'll know that delamination is there. It has started. So I just want to point out how important it is to get these seals along the sidewalls. It's just as important as the roof because wherever water can get in, it's going to get in and it's going to separate the material. The glue is not going to stick, and then you're going to have that separation, and that is a problem. And 9 times out of 10, the only way to fix something like that is to remove the skin, replace the wood because it's rotted and swelled, and then put more adhesive on it and fix it that way, which costs like a lot of money. When I looked at the tires, they were completely outdated. There were some tires that were 9 years old and some that were 5 years old. And our recommendation as an inspector is to replace the tires every 5 to 6 years. And there are people, it's a controversial topic because some people say, no, you don't need to, but I'm telling you, the standards are every 5 to 6 years. You see a lot of people out there on the road that have blowouts, and this is due to having tires that have started to rot, started to wear, or it can be overinflated, underinflated. You can have so many problems with tires. So me personally, I like to replace my tires around between 5 and 6 years. And that's what I do with my motorhome. And I think I feel totally safe if I do that. Now, the other thing that I found was that the tires were overinflated. Some people aren't aware of this, but there is a recommendation from the manufacturer on the sticker which will tell you it's usually over if you have a trailer. It's going to be on the driver's side. You'll see the sticker that shows you the manufacturer's recommended tire pressure. If it's a motorhome, it's usually on the driver's side door. You will find that. It is really important that you pay attention to the sticker recommendation rather than just what the tire says. So all of these tires were overinflated, which can lead to a blowout. So I would recommend following that sticker if you aren't aware of it. One thing I want to pause and say here is that when you are picking out an RV, you're dealing with a lot of different components, a lot of different quality issues. So it's important to know what you're getting into when you purchase an RV. That's actually why I recommend Jacob with Rigor RV's shopping guide. Instead of me trying to recreate something that's already been done really well, Jacob is a friend of mine. We have been working together for a while. I am on his list of inspectors that he trusts, but his guide walks you through how to evaluate RVs before you buy, like the slide systems, the construction quality, and the big things that can cost you thousands if you miss them. So even on top of that, if you feel confident of the type and quality of RV that you're picking and you have everything set up, you still want to hire an RV inspection. And I am still available for any consulting services if you want to speak with me about the RV that you chose and you want to work together on any capacity, okay? Please click on the link below if you're interested in Jacob's RV buying guide. Also, click on the link to go to my website and you can fill out my contact form if you would like to book any appointments with me. This Nash has a Schwintek slide system, so I went underneath to check the rollers to make sure that they were not moving because you want the floor to be sitting on the rollers. And unfortunately, they were all movable. So that needed to be repaired. That wasn't the biggest deal though, because what I found on the left side of that floor is that it was completely rotted. So water had gotten in, and my assumption is that it got in. There was a little bit of a gap along that trim rail, and Schwintek slides, even though they use butyl tape behind that trim rail, I still say put a little bit of sealant over the top. I wouldn't want to take the chance. If it was mine, I'd want sealant over the top of that rail, and I'd want to make sure that there were no gaps, no way water could get in. There's also like a T-trim that goes around the slide itself, like the outer wall of it, and there is sealant there. And so many times I find that sealant is wearing away. There's cracks and gaps. And on this one, it was all gapped, so you could easily get water in there. And so it could have gone down in there and then gone under the slide and caused part of that rotting. So being very mindful of your Schwintek slide systems, they do have issues. They are one of the slides that tends to have the most issues, but most techs know how to repair them. It's just that you have to maintain them. You have to make sure when you're getting these RVs that the rollers are sitting properly so it doesn't break the shoes. And you want to make sure that there's no gaps in the sealant. Some of the other small things that I found was there was a little leak at the toilet that was minor but needed to be repaired. There was a shower head that had a crack in it. And because it had a crack in it, what it was doing is it was spraying the water sideways. That caused water to spray outside of the shower, which isn't good. So that needed to be replaced. There was an outlet that had a ground fault. There was a light that wasn't working. And there were other little trim issues. Those were all fixable items, but the delamination and the rotted slide, those were huge. So I want to point out that just because this Nash came back with a poor report, it doesn't make the Northwood Nash a bad RV. It is still a nice quality RV, but if it's maintained, that's the biggest concern, if it has been maintained. Because you can have the best quality, most well-made RV out there, and if it hasn't been maintained, then it goes downhill real fast. So you really have to just make sure that you can tell what has been done to it prior. If it's a private owner, you find out from them, or if it's at a dealership, just make sure you have your inspection so you can see if there has been proper maintenance on it, and then you'll be able to tell by how it looks and how it passes the inspection. The other thing that I wanted to point out is I do have RVs that pass inspection that I have inspected and people purchase it. There may be a few minor things wrong, but it gets fixed by the dealer or it's negotiated and that happens. I will create a video that showcases some inspections that have done really well. The other thing that I wanted to address that was a big question in one of my videos was about my inspection requirements. I always give my client, which also gets to the dealership, what my inspection requirements are. I have this in my initial quote that I send out to my client. I discuss it with my client, and then it's in my contract. It lists everything. My client can copy and paste it. They can send it to the dealership, whoever their contact is. But I leave it up to my client to relay this information to the dealer, because the dealership is more prone to work with the client because they're the one paying them than to listen to an inspector. However, if I go to a particular place often enough and I might get to know people there, they know what I need. I also make a point in every inspection. I do have a hose. I do have things that I can do to prepare the RV myself. If it's not ready for me, I can do that. If I am at least near a spigot, or I can tell the dealership, hey, there isn't propane in here. I really need it. If they forgot, and they'll add it. But there are times that just doesn't happen for me. And in that one particular case, there was nothing I could do to get that RV ready for me because it was just in a bad situation with the heat and everything else. If you haven't watched that video, I will link it below for you, but it's about an inspection I did for a van, and it was in the hot sun and I couldn't get it cooled down to temperature. There were other problems with it. My client in that particular video was like talking to the dealership daily and reminding them about all of the things that were needed because we had discussed it. He was really anxious about that. And so when they didn't supply it and they didn't do what they said they were going to do and promised, he was so upset he walked away specifically because of that, because they didn't do what they said they were going to do. So all in all, I do supply that. I do it every time. Some dealerships are great. They are not all like this. They want to work with us. They have been more than gracious. I have shown up and had the RV in perfect condition for my inspection, and I'm always so appreciative, and I always thank them when they do that. And then there's just some that decide that they just don't care. I don't know what to say about it, you guys. I wish they did. But I do tell my clients tell the dealership, and something else happens between what they say and what they do. So there's that. Thank you for joining me on today's video, and I look forward to seeing you next week.